Hi there, Shauna here on this really snowy, cold evening. I know it's Tuesday and I normally come to you on a Monday, but we have I've just launched a new emotional eating program, and so it's been incredibly busy. So tonight's lessons from sessions, or this week's rather lessons from sessions, is about not being good enough. So hi Shauna, nice to see you. So for me, again, what I'm trying to do here is trying to bring stuff that I see day in and day out on a continuous basis and session. And I'm not good enough is one of those things that show up constantly, continuously and constantly. I hear it every single week. I'm not good enough. And so what I wanted to do, hi Paul, hi Carla, what I wanted to do tonight was talk a wee bit about I'm not good enough. And kind of some of the pitfalls of I'm not good enough and what to do about it. I've also got a wee bit of what I call a cheat sheet that might help you out, and I'll talk about that in a wee minute. So I'm not good enough. For me, there seems to be kind of two forms of I'm not good enough. The quiet whispering one that's kind of it's disruptive, but it's silently disruptive. You know, it's not loud and in your face. It's not the one that be shouting from the rooftops. It's not the one that you really know that is, I'm not good enough. But nonetheless, it has the same effects. So when people come on this session and they're not quite sure what it is that is difficult, or what it is that's stopping them, but it's when they get into conversation, then they can hear it more acutely. But the I'm not good enough that's whispering can be the most dangerous kind of type, because it's not so loud, because it's not so available for people. And it still has all the same damage, but it's whispering. And if you're listening to this and you have that whispering, or you think you might have that whispering, I'm not good enough, then let me know. Give me a thumbs up or a heart, or give me a comment and let me know if that's true for you. The other one is the really loud one. The other one is the really disruptive one that just says it as it is, that you can hear in your own voice, that you can hear in your own mind, and you can hear it day in and day out. It's the one that says, sure, what do you know? It's the one that says, sure, you're no good. Sure, it's the one that disrupts it. It's the one that when you go to say, I think I would like to do this, it's the kind of laughing one, but it's the loud one. And I always see in session, I always see those two different types of not good enough. And they do the same damage, but they appear differently in session. And one can be more difficult to put their finger on, and the other one is much more louder. Now, they stop you doing the things that you want to do. They tell you that you can't. They tell you that you shouldn't. They tell you that you're just not up to it. They find these really clever, logical ways of stopping your success, but sure you don't have, but sure you haven't got that certificate yet, but sure you haven't got it. They find really brilliant, logical ways of supporting the belief. Does that make any sense to anybody? It's like when you believe that you're not good enough, then you search for evidence that you're not. And when you feel the feeling of not good enough, you pull out all of the evidence that's in the now, that's in this place, and you use that against yourself. So if there's anybody on here that feels like that or has done that, then let me know. It's like a really kind of what really amazes me is, whilst the feeling is often in childhood, the evidence is often in adulthood, and that the evidence is often brought in front of me to say, look, you see, I wasn't good enough then, I'm not good enough, I couldn't do that, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. But the feeling doesn't belong in the now. The feeling, although it comes in the now, belongs in the past, because that's where a lot of this stuff is born. And the first thing that we'll do in session is look at where it began. We'll look at where this is, and no amount of evidence in the now, or no amount of no evidence in the now, will take this away. So what we begin to do in session is look at, and what I encourage you to do is look at where this is coming from. Look at where its source is. Because what will have happened at some stage in your life is you will have believed something about yourself that was not true. i.e. that you weren't good enough at something, and that will lock into yourself, lock your data window down, And no matter how much evidence to the contrary of that belief has happened in your life, you won't take it in because now you've believed something about yourself. Now, here's what I would say that happens to most people. Most people that arrive in my office or arrive in session with me have gone through other stages of therapy, have done other stuff. And when the one thing that I see the most, the people try to treat I'm not good enough at a really generic level. Now here's what I mean. What I mean about that is that they try and say to it, I am good enough, I am good enough, I am good enough, I am good enough. Like nearly like a mantra, or nearly like a, trying to push it away with the opposite of it. Like trying to convince yourself that you are good enough and trying to do that every day. And that's one thing that I would say not to do. I know that that's contrary to the other information out there, but the one thing that I would tell you not to do is I would tell you not to push it away by trying to give it some fluff story about yourself that you don't even believe, because what that will do is it'll keep you in it. Now, if that makes any sense to anybody, have anybody ever tried to do that? Has anybody ever tried to get a I'm not good enough away with a mantra? With the I am good enough and I believe in me and all of that? Has anybody ever tried that? And has anybody ever seen how difficult that is to achieve? Because what happens is, give me a thumbs up if you've been in that situation, because I know a lot of my clients are exhausted at this stage trying to take it away by a different belief. The only thing that you're doing there is doing an emotional shift change, which means that you change from the feeling of not good enough to the feeling of good enough momentarily, enough to get you out of your bed, enough to get you on the right road, enough to get you, filling in that form, but it comes back again. And it's that bit there that people find it so bloody difficult, because now what they have is they're not even good at mantras. They're not even, and they use that evidence against themselves. Is there anybody here that has used that evidence against themselves? And that's the one thing that I would tell you not to do, because it crucifies you and it keeps you in that hope and it keeps you in that hurt, hope, despair cycle, where you're hurt and you're hopeful that this is going to work, and then it doesn't, and then you're despairing, and then you're hurt and hope. And if anybody is in that cycle, then give me a thumbs up and a heart and let me know that makes sense to you. So then the question is, what the bloody hell do I do? If I don't do what everybody else tells me, if I don't do all that mantras, if I don't ignore it, if I don't stuff it, if I don't eat it, what the bloody hell do I do? So what I would say to do is I would say to try and understand it. Now that is not as easy as it sounds, and I get that. But you have two options here. You either get out for good or you get out momentarily. And I know I always opted for getting out for good, because every moment that you try and change this with a mantra or a different belief, you're stuck in it for good. But if you listen to it, if you hear the details of it, if you understand it, if you understand what it's saying to you, then you have a different perspective, because now you can take it apart for truth. Now, hear me out on that. See, if I had 1,000 clients and I got every one of those clients to come on here now and talk to you about what not good enough looked like for them, it would be so individual for each and every person. It would start off with a not good enough feeling. So, excuse me, I'm not good enough at a feeling level. But once they start to understand, and once you start to understand what that means, like, where does it show up? Does it just show up in education? Does it show up in relationships? Does it show up around people? Does it show up in how you view your body? Where does it show up? I'm not good enough is not a blanket statement contrary to the belief. And if you tap into you're not good enough, it will be specific. Why? Because it has happened through experience, and your experience is not the same as anybody else's experience. And that's why everybody's not good enough is so unique and individual to them, based upon the experiences that you've had, that they've had, and it's not the same as hers next door, although you will converse with your friends around not feeling good enough, and it'll feel like you'll share the same feelings, you'll share the same language, you'll understand what everybody means, but not good enough will not mean the same underneath for her as it does for you. I've seen so many clients that have said, I'm not good enough, and it means so many different things because of their own unique individual experience. And when you tap in to that unique experience, then you have the answer to what you're not good enough is. And then you can challenge it, and then you can test it for truth, and then you can open your data window, and then you can get rid of it forever. But until you take that brave, brilliant step of understanding it, not just at a basic level, but at a feeling level, at a thought level, at a construct level, then you can never, never, ever, ever undo it properly. Because believe me, not good enough, not good enough is what everybody carries, isn't it? I'm not good enough at, I'm not good enough for. We all do it, but really underneath it, there's reasons that you're not good enough. There's a specificity to why you're not good. There's an experience attached to that, and that is what has to be undone. And that's what's massive, and that is the beginning of real and lasting freedom. So if you're carrying not good enough, if not good enough disrupts your success, if you want to be, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, whether it's back to education, whether it's starting your own business, whether it's getting out of the job that you're in because you don't want it, whether it's starting your own practice, whether it's beginning your own business, whether it's, getting into a relationship, no matter what it is, if not good enough interferes with that, then you can't afford to sit on it. Your life is dependent on you. The future, your success is dependent on you to get rid of this thing. And no more treating it with mantras, no more just kind of trying to get by it, no more just trying to treat it every day and being exhausted. Just get into it and get it going. So what I'll do now tonight is I will post what I call a cheat sheet, and it's a limiting belief cheat sheet, and that should help you get underneath this. I'm not good enough, and I can promise you, because I can see a few of them on here tonight. There's a few guys on here tonight that have done some of this work, and they know what it's like to get underneath I'm not good enough. They also know what it's like to be free. And the freedom from that is exhilarating, I can tell you. So I'm going to try, I'm not going to try, I'm going to post that cheat sheet for you so that you use the cheat sheet to try and get underneath the not good enough to see what that is, but no more disruption. And if anybody is stuck in their life and feels that this is massive for them, this is part of why they're not getting success in their life, that this is a mindset issue for them, that I'm not good enough is derailing their success, is derailing their future, that they're actually getting in their own way of what kind of life they want to set up, then there's about 5 tickets left for the Mindset Bootcamp this Sunday. So if you're up for really getting underneath what's blocking your success, if you're up for really understanding it at a really detailed level and have me coach it out of you, then join me for the Mindset Bootcamp. It's on Sunday. I only do 2 live videos. Hi Caroline, lovely to see you. I only do 2 live shows a year now, and this is the Mindset Bootcamp. One is in January and the other is in September. So if you want some live coaching, if you want to really set yourself up for the ultimate success, not just kind of goal setting success, which is all very important as well, but really undoing the blocks, getting underneath and undoing the blocks, then join me for the bootcamp. I think there's about 5 or 6 tickets left. So great to catch you too, Caroline. So hopefully that made sense, and hopefully that you will take the brave, bright decision to get in and underneath that, I'm not good enough once and for all, and release yourself from it, because you don't deserve it. It's something that you've been holding for years. It's an old pattern. If you get on underneath it and let it go, then 2019 really could be the year that you really want. But let's get on underneath that old rubbish limiting beliefs and set them free forever. So good night from a bloody freezing Calais, Donegal. It's bloody freezing, and I am going to go and chill out and maybe enjoy a fire and a cup of coffee. So night for now, and I'll see you next week. And if there's anybody that wants those tickets for the Mindset Bootcamp on Sunday, then please PM me and I'll try my best to reserve them for you and send you the links. See you all later, and I'll post that stuff. I'll post that cheat sheet straight after this. See you all later. Bye for now.